Hello everyone, this is day 2 of daily PYQ main series and we'll discuss day 2 questions, question number 3 and question 4 of GS1 of 2023 UPSC paper. So question number 3 was bring out the socio-economic effect of the introduction of railways in different countries of the world. Okay, so there are 3 basic demands that you have to fill in this question. What is the theme of the question is introduction of railways is the theme. Okay, so introduction of railway, you have to give your introduction in little bit of what and little bit of why. Like what is railway and how it came by, and why means the little bit of socio-economic effects in the introduction. First thing is this. Then the second part is specifically in body. The first part is specifically based upon socio-economic effects. So you can divide this into positive effects first and second negative effects. Okay, and in positive you will divide this into economic and social effects. Okay, so this is the first part of body, and second part of body would be your negative effects. So after outlining the negative effects, okay, you will just conclude, right? So this is how you will like structure this particular answer. So there are 2 parts. So in first page of your sheet, there will be 2 pages in the 10 marker. Okay, in first page you will write introduction and you will write positive impact, okay, completely. Then in second page you will write negative impacts and then you conclude. Okay, this is how you divide your pages. Now coming to the introduction. So what would be the introduction? In introduction you just have to give a brief of railways impact across the world. So for instance, railway was introduced in 17th century, like in 1750s. Okay, then slowly it will be in future introduced in India, for instance, then USA, then Africa, okay, in various countries across the world. So this can be the introduction, or alternatively you can write that it is a mode of transport which links region and fuels economic growth, right? You can also link that in introduction that it helps in spring industrialization, transformed trade, and it shaped urban landscapes. So this is how you can introduce in various modes. Coming to the body part. So in body, first is the positive impact of railways. Positive impact of railways. Now in positive impact, there will be economic impact and there will be social impact. So first we'll outline the economic impact. Okay. So now here it is written different countries of the world. So there can be 2 types of body here. First you mention the country like this India, like how it impacted India in socio-economic terms, then how it impacted US in socio-economic terms, how it impacted UK and Europe in socio-economic terms. Or you will just give the impact and include the examples of these countries as in the like points. Okay, like argument first, point first, then example, and these examples can be from these countries. So these are the 2 ways you can answer this particular question. So I have adopted the second way, in which I'll be discussing the impact of railway, then I'll be giving the example of various countries across the world. Now coming to the economic impact. In economic impact, the first impact is transportation of goods and commodities. You can give an example of Trans-Siberian Railway between Europe and Asia. Okay. So it helps in, you can also include, it helps in transport of goods like coal, okay, ores, then manufactured products. However, I will suggest that it is a 10 marker question, so you will stick to this only, like whatever I have written here, you write just that, because there will be no space left if you write even more. Then coming to second part, which is trade and commerce, it increases trade and commerce. You can say that second phase of industrialization based upon the railways. Okay, first was engines, the second was railways. Okay, due to the efficient and effective mode of transportation. Then coming to urbanization and development, you can give an example of like how Chicago city in US was developed because it was the railway junction. So ores of various metals like iron, okay, came here and it led to the development of industries in Chicago. Now coming to the fourth part, which is job creation. So you can give an example of Indian Railways, that now Indian Railway employing nearly 1.4 million people. Okay, so in various roles railway can employ, like engineering, like laying the lines, etc. Then coming to tourism and travel, so it increases tourism and travel across the world, so people shared their journey with each other, right? So it also led to cultural development, it also led to uh, uh, reducing of bias across the world. So we'll deal with that in social impact. So you can give an example of Glacier Express, which is in Europe, attract tourists from across the world. Now coming to sixth part, which is cost efficiency and environmental impact. Okay, because it is cost efficient, so it led to huge boost in the development of industries. Okay, so it also says that like in comparison to road transport that was prevalent at that point of time, so railway transport was very environmental friendly as comparison, right? So you can say it emits fewer greenhouse gas per ton mile of freight transported. So this is how you are done with economic impacts. Now coming to the social impact. In social impact, you can say that it led to the cultural exchange. So cultural exchange, you can give an example of India, like Indian national movement hell was benefited because it combined different cultures across India. Okay, also you can give an example of various uh, trains like which are famous, like Orient Express, which connected Western Europe with Middle East. Okay, Western Europe with Middle East, which led to the cultural exchange between the two regions. Now coming to rural development, it helped in rural development because whereas agricultural produce from the rural areas like can go to urban areas for consumption. Okay, so it led to development of rural areas as well. Now it removed social barriers because people from all faiths, religion, caste and creed come together and they had to be in close proximity while they are traveling. So it led to the reduction in the biases. So this is how like you can give the social impact of railways. Now coming to the negative impacts. So there might be certain negative impacts as we have read in the modern India, that how railway was used as a tool for exploitation and domination by colonial powers. Okay, not only India, you can give the example of Trans-Saharan Railway in Africa, which was built for mineral exploitation only. Okay, it was not aimed for welfare of citizens. Now coming to second part, like it disrupted the traditional way of life and livelihood. Earlier, there was very preliminary way of livelihood like hunting, gathering, etc. Okay, in indigenous communities, but with introduction of railways, indigenous communities were misplaced and they were led to the like job roles of labor in the railway construction industry. So it led to the disruption in traditional way of life. Now coming to railways caused environmental damage. Although railway has like low environmental emissions than other mode of transportation, but due to the laying of railway lines, it led to lot of forest being destroyed, and because the forest being destroyed, it led to reduction in wildlife habitats. Okay, you can give an example of like Tibet railway in China. Okay, how it led to the change in environmental conditions there. Then social stratification has happened due to railways. Okay, railway exacerbated social inequalities by favoring certain regions or social classes, because most of the railway at that point of time were built in urban areas and for colonial masters. So that is how railway impacted negatively. Now when we go for the conclusion, okay, you have to be positive and you have to be futuristic. Okay, and you can give solutions that whatever the negative impacts that we have faced, like not obviously the colonial powers, but environmental impact, sustainability. So all these lines you will say here. Okay, in conclusion, you can say like railway globally transformed societies and economies, fostering prosperity. However, they may also raise concerns like environmental impact and social disparities. So it is needed that inclusive policies and balancing progress are and sustainability be ensured. Okay, so this is how you can complete the answer. Now coming to question number 4, discuss the consequences of climate change on food security in tropical countries. So this is a question of geography and it relates to climate change. So if you have the adequate knowledge of environment, so you can deal with this question also. So there are two parts here, like climate change and tropical countries. So there are various climate change phenomena like erratic rainfall, increased temperatures, more frequent extreme weathers, but the key term is in relation to tropical countries. So you can deal with this answer as like in body you can give various aspects of climate change, but you give examples of tropical countries. There is another way to deal with it, like you can go country wise, like this is the tropical region, this is the tropical region, and how climate change has impacted separately. So I have chosen the first way, in which you will give various aspects of climate change and then you will give an example of various tropical countries. Okay, so climate change is the theme here. So introduction needs to be on the climate change. Now the first part would be consequences of climate change. And because the question says discuss always means you have to show challenges or limitations and you have to give suggestions how we can improve, right? So challenges and limitation we have already covered in consequences, because only there will be negative consequences of climate change, there cannot be positive change, okay, except in some cases, but you will outline only the negative consequences. So you have to give suggestions too in second part. So this is how you will structure this particular answer. Coming to introduction, what can you say in introduction? In introduction you say that what is climate change and what are the various features of climate change which is negative. For instance, erratic rainfall pattern, increased temperatures and more extreme weather. You can also like say that up to 80% of tropical landscape is vulnerable to climate change, as given in a report by World Bank. You can give a fact or you can give an example, or you can just define what is climate change and you can just say like what are the tropical countries in the introduction. So there are many ways to write this particular introduction. Coming to body part, so first part as suggested in the question, consequences of climate change on food security in tropical countries. So one by one various reasons you include, like reduced crop yields. You can give an example like in sub-Saharan Africa, maize yields are reduced, right? Then second, it is vulnerable to a small scale farmer. Well, like it increases the vulnerability of a small scale farmer because changing rainfall patterns, let's say in Southeast Asia, like Vietnam and Thailand, affect rice farming. Okay, it reduces the yields of rice. Then it increases food prices. You can give an example of Central America, like how due to the climate impact, coffee plantation has reduced due to high temperature and irregular rainfall. Okay, all these are tropical countries. So examples are from tropical countries only. Then it exacerbated water scarcity. How? You can give an example of like how in India and Bangladesh changing weather patterns lead to changing in monsoon and cause water scarcity and water pollution. Then it leads to rising in pest attacks. You can give an example of how fall armyworm attacks African countries and devastated the maize crops there. Then it led to the threat to fisheries. For instance, in Caribbean, coral bleaching is there due to the warmer seas. Then sea level rise and saltwater intrusion. You can give an example of how in Bangladesh and Vietnam, sea level rise lead to saltwater intrusion into the mainland, and it led to the decrease in cultivation of rice and impacted shrimp farming. So all these are examples you can include. So this is the structure of point in which you just write what is the impact, which would be your argument. Then you write what is the example. So these examples needs to be from tropical countries because it is specifically asked in the question. So this is how you will structure the answer. Now coming to solutions. So what are the measures that we can take in order to resolve this particular crisis of climate change? So there can be two measures like adaptation and mitigation measures. Okay, you can give them separately, like adaptation 4 points, like mitigation 4 points, but I have included it in one because it is a 10 marker. If it is a 15 marker, we should have tackled these two parts separately. Now first is sustainable agriculture. We need to have sustainable agriculture. You can say that adopting agroecological practices such as conservation agriculture, agroforestry, permaculture, precision agriculture, we can like retain the crop yields and reduce the impact of climate change. Okay, so this is adaptable measures. Now we can introduce various farming techniques like crop rotation and intercropping, because while we are rotating crops, the soil quality remains good. Like it improves soil health and it reduces pest pressures. Because if there is one crop and if one pest goes, so it can eat all crop. Whereas if there is a variety of crop in the field, so a single pest cannot survive there, because it has to feed on the same kind of crop, but it cannot find after a certain point of time. Now water storage and management. We need to do water storage and management. How? Rainwater harvesting, constructing reservoirs and ponds, okay, during the excess rainfall to be used in dry periods. Then policy framework and education needs to be there. You can give an example of National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture, where we are educating farmers about climate smart agriculture. So these are the key terms that you can include into your answer. Now climate resilient seeds, we need to introduce climate resilient seeds, okay, with the use of genetic engineering. Okay, and we need to preserve diverse genetic resource in the cold storage so that we can use them later and we can do research on them later. Okay, and we should have a mechanism to distribute these climate resilient seeds at affordable price to farmers. So all these points you can include with examples like as I have given and various keywords, okay, in your answers. Now in conclusion, you can say that not only these measures are required, okay, but we need to secure the food security by international measures. Okay, so these are the domestic measures and we can do this, we can do that by the government, but international efforts are required because climate change is the global problem. So this is how you will end this answer. It's like international collaboration remains imperative to fortify food security like Paris Climate Deal, along with local community participation to ensure sustainable agriculture. Okay, as envisaged in Sustainable Development Goals 2, 13 and 15. So 13 is basically climate change, 15 is like land resources, and second is reducing global hunger. So this is how you can add this answer. Thank you all.